Hello, everyone, and I want to welcome you to day 4 of my story, My Strength Challenge. This journey is something I started for me, as we all know, for my healing, and I hope that it helps someone out there who needs a reminder that healing may be messy, but it's also possible. Today, I'm going to share, just like in the previous days, about something that happened from my past, and it deeply shaped how I saw myself and how I live today. Um, the story that I'm going to tell you, this is my trigger warning. The story that I'm going to tell you guys is going to include emotional betrayal, manipulation, and situations involving potential harm and fear. So please listen with care and take some space if you need it. If you need to give yourself a mental break, your mental health and emotional safety always come first. Okay. So today I have a memory that I would like to share that is more of an emotional betrayal than anything. Um, this is someone who I looked at as a friend. I met this person who I thought was like family. She was a friend, and I met her when we were both in middle school. Our friendship was off and on because we kind of had periods of being close, but then we also had times where we didn't speak, and sometimes it could be like a year, 2 years, 3 years. So we didn't have like this consistent friendship. But when we were friends, when we were around, like we never fell out when we were younger. We just kind of faded away and then found each other again. But she knew a lot about what I went through as a child. She was there for a lot of it. We even ran away from home with each other one time and got in trouble together. So, I thought we kind of had a strong bond, especially when we reconnected as adults, because she knew so much about my childhood and I knew so much about hers. She knew that I dealt with a lot of trauma. She knew about the abuse I experienced in my marriage. She knew a lot about me, and she was also the person that convinced me to move to Alaska. So when I moved back to Alaska the last time, because again, what you'll learn through my stories is things kind of got me bouncing back and forth. I was trying to find myself. So I moved out of Alaska twice. This was the third time I moved back to Alaska and the last time I've ever lived in Alaska. And I thought I could trust her because I had been living there. She's the one that convinced me to move there, and again, we had our issues over the years, our relationships, they had its ups and its downs. And I probably should have walked away from her and the friendship because of a lot of things that we went through. But I was broken. She caught me at the end of my toxic 12-year long marriage. And I didn't really want to lose anyone who I thought may have cared about me. And, she could show you that she cared about you. She had a way of trying to show you that she cared about you. But, I was easily fooled a lot. You'll learn that about me is I want to trust. I have a desire to trust people. So I kind of overlook things. And I hadn't yet learned that sometimes peace comes when you have a small circle. Sometimes peace comes when you don't have so many people who are showing toxic traits in your life. And as an adult, she put me in a lot of bad situations. I allowed her to, but again, I was just trying to fit in. I didn't want to feel rejected. And she put me in a lot of bad situations. She thrived on conflict and chaos. She loved to be in the middle of drama. She loved to cause drama. She loved to cause drama in people's lives and watch their lives fall apart. And I would just be like, that's not right. She always had a problem with me. She said she never had a problem with me, but she showed signs that made me see and made me feel. And actually, I understand now that she had a problem with me, and I never understood why. Um, it really shouldn't. It doesn't matter. But I mean, I never understood why. I used to question to this day, like, why did she hate me? Everything that I did, everything I said, she turned into a competition or a confrontation. Like she just wanted to argue with me. So I was just like, whatever. I just kind of brushed her aside, and I never really thought twice about it. One night, we were hanging out. We made plans to go out, and that's when I just moved back to Alaska the last time. Getting back on subject now. I just moved back to Alaska, and I was staying with her when I first moved back to Alaska, and I had just recently moved out of her house. It wasn't on good terms, so I kind of really wasn't dealing with her, and I was kind of just focusing on slowing down, going back to school. I was actually in college. I was trying to, focus on getting my degree and just staying away from any drama. Any drama. It didn't matter if it came from her. It didn't matter if it came from the people around the corner. I didn't want to deal with any drama. But she wasn't on that path. I don't know if she ever will ever find that path. That's kind of this her path. But I didn't want to be on a path that was filled with just drama that was caused by me or something that could be prevented. And I overlooked our differences. And I didn't look at I just kind of didn't look at who she was. I just wanted peace, you know. But we had plans. The plans didn't go as expected. So we ended up having to go back to her house, and we had alcohol, of course, and we were drinking. And there were 5 of us there. It was me, her boyfriend, and his 2 brothers. And we were drinking. And I didn't realize at the time that I was drinking the most. There were 2 big bottles, and I'm not paying attention to the fact that, I'm the one that's taking majority of the shots. So I drank too much. So I was like, you know what? Let me go lay down. I went in the spare room because there were no kids in the home at the time. We were all just there by ourselves. My children were where we were staying at, and her kids were with their dad. So it was just us 5 adults. And that's kind of when things started to change. She comes in the room and she said something that really confused me, but it also terrified me. She told me that her boyfriend and his brother, one of his brothers, were going to come in the room to run a train on me, basically. And I didn't really understand that. I didn't understand what she meant at first, but then when I realized, I kind of froze. Like, what do you mean that they were going to come in here and they were going to do this to me? Like, why? Because one of her brothers, I was already kind of having a casual situation with. We were not a couple, but we were involved, so to speak. We had a sexual relationship. So I was just like, okay, what's going on? We didn't plan to hang out together. We didn't even plan to hang out that night, because we did our own thing at that time. So it was just like, okay, whatever. But her boyfriend, he used to make a lot of inappropriate comments about me, saying things like, "You're gonna get that ass. I'm gonna put that ass in the air." I would see him standing over me sometimes when I was sleeping. And so when I moved out, I was just like, I didn't want to kind of deal with that. And I feared that he was going to come in that room and act out all the things he said he was going to do to me. Because it was more graphic than that. I'm just trying to keep it as nice as I can. She came back in that room a few times, saying that she couldn't stop them, that they were going to come in there and they were going to run the train on me, And she told me that they were sending the younger brother home because he wasn't invited to do whatever they were planning, because he was old enough to drink. We were all over 21. There were no underage drinking. There was nothing like that. It was just, I thought it was just 5 adults having fun, being a little reckless, but, I was doing it in a safe way with someone I thought I could trust. I was really drunk. I was barely able to hold my head up. I agreed that if the brother that I had already been involved with came in, I would be okay with that, because it's like, whatever, but I didn't want anything to happen. I just wanted to pass out. But okay, if it's that serious, I don't mind being with the one that I was already dealing with. But I was still terrified. So when the door opened, I just kind of laid there. The room was pitch black. I did not see anything. And again, I couldn't even hold my head up, really. I was overwhelmed. I was just like full of fear and shame. And it kind of turned out to be the brother that I was intimate with. And so I was okay. Excuse me, you guys, again, my allergies are acting up. But it was the brother that I was with. So I was okay. It's like, okay, whatever, let's, fine. But I was still afraid that his other brother was going to come in there on me. Because, again, in the past, he would make little comments that he was going to do to me. And I didn't want any of that. I didn't want any of that. So I just kind of hoped that it was going to stay with just the one brother, and that they weren't going to come in there and tag team me, basically. And I just needed that night to just kind of be over. The next morning, the energy was really off. My friend was laughing at me because she knew that she had scared me, coming in there telling me that they were going to come in there and gang rape me, basically. And she knew I had been gang raped before. She was one of the few people that knew that about me. And to do that to me, she thought it was funny. Because like I told you before, she likes to cause chaos in people's lives, and she'll sit back and laugh. And the guy that I had been involved with, he kind of really didn't say much to me. But I couldn't wait to leave. I was, like I said, for some reason, we were all tipsy drinking, but I was so drunk. I was drunk the next morning, and I had to wait till I kind of sobered up a little bit more to leave. But when I did leave, I stopped speaking to them. I'm like, I'm not going to be a part of this. You guys are going to do this to me. I don't want to do that. So later, the guy I was involved with, he reached out to me, and I told him, I'm like, no, that wasn't okay. That wasn't okay. And I told him what she said they were going to do, and he was kind of shocked. Like, what are you talking about? He told me that she told them I wanted them to come in there on me, but that I didn't want them to think that it was something that I planned because I was embarrassed. And she kind of lied and told them, you know, hey, let's this me and PJ's been planning this, and when she wants you guys all could both come in there, and she kind of lied. So when I did have a chance to talk to her about it, she kind of laughed at me in my face and told me uh, that she was like, she had to physically block her boyfriend from coming into the room while I was in there with his brother, like it was a joke, like I was a joke, like any of this was funny, and it wasn't funny. Like she set me up. She planned something that could have re-traumatized me or put those guys in jail. And she's never acknowledged that what she did was wrong or apologized. And I kind of struggled with that, with the betrayal and the confusion. I still don't know why she did it. But I do know this: I'll never deal with her again. I will never let anyone make me feel that powerless ever again. I will never deal with her again, because what she did was not okay. So the thoughts and the feelings that I have during that time was, I was like, why do people always take advantage of me? Because, that was not the first time I've been in those kind of situations. It's like, what is wrong with me? Why is this always happening to me? Why do people always want to force something on me or attack me? And the second thing I thought was like, maybe I deserve this somehow, because I knew that her brother was attracted to me. Her boyfriend was attracted to me. There were things happening in that house that was just way out of control, that made me uncomfortable to even go to the house, because they were, again, making comments, pushing me up against the wall, walking in on me while I was in the shower. It's like, what am I doing? So me going over there, hanging out with them, thinking that I could trust the situation, I felt like maybe somehow I deserved them saying that, them trying to go in there and do that to me. And then I felt like, okay, I trusted the wrong person again. I knew I shouldn't have trusted her. I knew I should never have trusted her, but I didn't want to feel like she would hurt me on purpose. I always have been the type of person that want to see the kindness and the good in people. And I was hoping that one day she would, because I was like 35, like we weren't kids. So I'm like, okay, maybe she's grown out of a lot of the behaviors that she's done, but obviously she did not. And it was like, how could someone who knew my trauma set me up like that? How could someone, she knew what I'd gone through. She knew what I had gone through with my ex-husband. She knew what I had gone through before I met him. She knew what I had gone through, and she still tried to re-traumatize me. And then I've always thought it was my fault for staying her friend. I was like, I knew I should have stopped talking to her. I made reasons and excuses as to why I did speak with her. I blame myself for even trying to be her friend. And I felt weak. I felt disgusted with myself. And I felt really stupid. So my question for you is, have you ever trusted someone who used your past pain against you? And how did that betrayal shape the way you protect yourself today? Because with me, I kind of just put a block up, which I shouldn't have done. But that was the way I knew how to process it at that time. I'm like, I'm not going to deal with her. I've not spoken to her. She's tried to rekindle the friendship. She's tried to say she was going to change. I don't even try to entertain it. I don't want anything to do with anyone who's remotely like her. I just cut it off. No, at all. So reframing. I had to reframe that thought, because I didn't cause what happened. I was set up by someone I trusted. I did not cause that. That was not my fault. I was set up by someone I trusted that says everything about them and nothing about me or my strength. And I made it out. I did not let it destroy me, because it was more of an emotion. She hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie, that should hurt my feelings so bad. So bad. Like, you would go to that length. Like I said, she's done things in the past, but nothing ever that bad. That bad. I mean, I learned later on that she was doing other stuff with other people, so it makes sense now. But again, some of these people she's only known a couple of years. She's known me since I was 13 or 14 years old. It's like, why would you want to re-traumatize someone that you've seen go through trauma themselves? So I had to, give myself an affirmation. I honored the truth of what I survived. I forgive myself for not knowing better then, and I trust myself to protect my peace now. I really, really do. I do. I honor the truth of what I survived. I do forgive myself for not knowing better then. And I trust myself now to protect my peace now, because in my healing journey, I had to learn so much. I had to learn a lot. I have learned a lot of why I did the things that I've done. So here's a coping skill, or a 1 minute coping skill that kind of helps me. It's called rebuilding the me. When my trust was broken by someone that was close to me, it fractured my sense of safety. So I had to start rebuilding myself with certain steps. So some of the grounded things I would do is I would place my hand over my heart and I will say, I'm safe in this moment. I am safe in this moment. I don't know if you guys can see I have my hand on my chest, but I am safe in this moment. And then, like, kind of a journal prompt, you could write in your journal, what does it mean to trust now? What does trust mean to me now? And trust means to me now means earning, not just giving. To kind of watch, because I have to trust myself before I can trust anyone else. And I didn't trust myself. That's kind of what I had. And then it's called learning. You have to learn who a person is. And then you have to set your boundaries. And trust to me is, are you going to be able to respect my boundaries without me even having to ask you to? It's a lot of things I have on what trust means to me, but those are just some examples. And then there's a boundary mantra that you can tell yourself. I don't owe anyone access to my energy just because we have shared history. That was the biggest thing. I've been knowing this girl for years, and I don't owe anyone access to my energy because of shared history. You don't owe anyone anything. You only owe yourself. If what you're doing is not causing anyone any type of harm in any kind of way, you don't owe them any of your energy. So, just practice choosing you, because choosing you is the beginning of real safety. Choose you. So I have a challenge for you. Write down one time you ignored your intuition for the sake of keeping the peace. One time you said, you know what, I'm just going to overlook this because I don't want to argue with them, or I don't want confrontation. Write down one time you ignored your intuition of something that you knew that you should have done, something you should have spoken up about, just to keep, for the sake of keeping the peace. Next, I want you to write down your new truth. Next time, I choose me, even if it means walking alone. Say it out loud and let your voice be the one that protects you. Write down, that's an example of a truth. That's my new truth. Next time I choose me, even if it means walking alone. If you want to use that, use it. If you have something better, use that. And just say it out loud and let that be your voice. Let it protect you, because you have a right to choose you. So next, thank you so much for hearing that and for being part of this challenge with me. But we're going to go to our survivor spotlight. Is Tarana Burke. Tarana Burke, she is someone who grew up in the Bronx, where she experienced sexual violence at a young age. And like many Black girls in marginalized communities, she had no access to justice, safe spaces, or consistent support. The trauma that she had left deep scars, and it also ignited determination to ensure that no other girl would go through what she went through. No other girl would ever feel voiceless or feel lost like she once did. So in 2006, after years of working with young survivors, she created a phrase, "Me Too." Long before it came viral, she had this she made the "Me Too" phrase. Her goal was simple: healing through shared truth. For For her, it was never about fame, it was about survivors, especially about black and brown ones. So often that were they were left out of the conversation, so often that they were overlooked, so often that they were just, you know, sometimes blamed for their assault or trauma. So Miss Tanara Burke, she turned her personal life, her personal trauma, her personal story into a global call for healing. She created space for people like me to speak our truth and to believe it and to be believed. Because of her, survivors are seen, heard, and honored. She is a living reminder that our stories matter and that our healing is powerful. So thank you so much, Miss Burke, for making yourself vulnerable, opening yourself up so that women like me can be proud of what we have overcome instead of being ashamed of it. So if this story spoke to you, please like it, share it with someone who needs it, and let them know that they're not alone. Journal, reflect, cry if you need to, but don't hide your truth. Your story doesn't end in pain, it begins in power. So I will see you tomorrow for day 5. I love you guys all. Stay strong.